I want to ask you something, and I want you to actually answer it in your head before you keep watching. Where is your gun right now? Most of you just pictured a nightstand, a safe in the closet, maybe a lockbox under the bed. Now here's the problem with that answer. Last year in this country there were 216,000 burglaries in the daytime and 174,000 at night. The majority of break-ins in America happen between 10 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon, while the house is empty and everybody's at work. Which means for most of you, the plan is a pistol asleep in a drawer in a house with nobody in it. I've had a gun for 40 years, and I'm not telling anybody to give theirs up. There's one in this house right now. I'm telling you, it does exactly one job. The man already standing in your hallway. And there are 4 jobs that come before him. Those 4 are where a break-in is actually won or lost. And every one of them has a fix sitting on a shelf at Walmart for under $30. And every single one of them, you can walk into a Walmart today, right now, and buy all 15. No waiting period, no background check, no follow-up call. And we're counting backwards, not toward the biggest weapon, but toward the earliest moment. Number 15 is the worst second of your life. Number 1 is $17, and it means that second never happens. If we haven't met, I'm Arthur. 40 years fixing other people's houses, doors and windows and porches and cellars, and more kicked-in door jams than I can count. And more than a few of those, I was the guy who showed up the next morning, not to sell anybody anything, just to fix the door and hear what happened. You see enough of that, you start noticing what actually would have stopped it. Quick belief I want to poke at. If you're serious about protecting your family, what you need is a gun by the bed. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying it's incomplete. A gun answers exactly one problem. There's 4 that come before it, and that's what this list is. 15 items, all Walmart, all verified in stock. And we're counting backwards through time. Number 15's the worst case second. Number 1's $17 and means that second never happens. Things can change very quickly in this country. The lights can go out, shelves can empty, and prices can jump before most families have had time to prepare. The news won't tell you anything about getting through it. And by the time any of it reaches your doorstep, it is too late to start learning the things people used to know before every household problem came with a hefty bill. For 8 generations, my family has passed these tricks down. The same simple, cheap, and extremely effective know-how used by seasoned farmers, tradesmen, veterans, and lawmen, and proven to work in the real world for generations. I have written it all down in one place, in a collection of books, the kind of knowledge big corporations would rather you keep paying for than learn to do yourself. Thousands of Americans are already using simple know-hows like these to avoid expensive solutions, live healthier, and stop paying for things they can handle at home. Give this book a permanent place in your home, because the day you need one of these methods is not the day you want to start searching for it. ArthurHomeTips.com. Link below. All right, back to it. Number 15, the Ozark Trail Marine Air Horn, 8 ounces. $12.42. It's an air horn, the kind you'd take out on a boat. 120 decibels, and Walmart's own listing says it's audible up to a mile away. Now here's why it's number 15 and not number 50. You do not have to see him. That's the whole thing. You are behind a locked bedroom door in the dark with your wife and a phone. And you hold this up over your head, and you lay on it. You don't open the door. You don't go down the stairs to check. You don't do the thing that gets people killed. What happens in the next 4 seconds is 3 things at once. Everybody in your house is awake. Everybody on your street is awake. And if you've got a neighbor like mine, he's already at the window. And the man downstairs learns the one thing he cannot stand to learn, that he's been noticed. He didn't come to your house for a fight. He came because he thought nobody was home and nobody was listening. Every minute he stays now is a minute somebody's describing his truck. Most of them leave, not because they're afraid of you, because the job's over. $12, less than a pizza. And one more inside this item. The Sabre 2-in-1 personal alarm, 130 decibels, $15, clips to a belt loop. Because some of you are watching this thinking about a mother or a wife who is never in 100 years going to touch anything else on this list. She'll wear that. Get her that. Number 14. Spectracide Wasp and Hornet Killer, 18.5 ounces, $4.67. And every single one of you already knows why it's on here. 27-foot jet spray. That number is not folklore. It's not something I heard at a gun show. It's printed on Walmart's own product listing, because that's how far it has to shoot to get a nest under a soffit without you standing under it on a ladder. Now I'm going to handle this one honestly, because most channels don't. The EPA label on that can does not approve it for use on a person. It says so. And if you ever spray a man with it, there is a lawyer somewhere who will read that label out loud in a courtroom, and I'd be doing you a disservice not to say so plainly. Here's what else is true. Every old-timer in America keeps a can of this by the back door. I have been in and out of houses in every corner of this county for 40 years, and I have seen it on the shelf inside the door of damn near every farmhouse I ever set foot in. I'm not going to tell you those people are wrong, and I'm not going to tell you it's what the label says either. What I'll tell you is it reaches 27 feet, it costs $4, and it's already in your garage. You do the arithmetic. I'm just telling you what's on the shelf. Number 13. The First Alert Home 1 Fire Extinguisher. This is the one nobody puts on these lists, and it's the one I'd argue hardest for. $20, rolled back from $34. It's a standard home extinguisher, 1A10B C rated, and I want you to think about what actually comes out of it. 10 seconds of white cloud under pressure at chest height in a hallway. A man cannot see through that. He cannot breathe right through it. He does not know how big the cloud is or what's on the other side of it. And every instinct he's got tells him to back up out of it, which means backing up toward the door he came in through. And the canister in your hands weighs about 4 pounds and is made of steel, so it's not nothing on the way out either. But here's the part that makes it better than most of what's on this list. Nobody will ever ask you why you owned a fire extinguisher. That's not a small thing. Everything else here you can picture a prosecutor holding it up. Not this. This is the most normal object in an American home. It's on a list of things the fire marshal tells you to buy. And I'll be straight with you. I've carried one in my truck for 40 years, for reasons that have nothing to do with any of this. I've used it twice, both times on a truck. Buy it for that. It just happens to be the best $20 in this hallway. Number 12. The Ozark Trail 1000-lumen rechargeable tactical flashlight. $14.97. Was $17.97. And this is the best money on the entire list. It's not close. And it's not even for the reason you think. Yes, 1,000 lumens in a dark adapted eye at 2 in the morning is a real thing. He loses the room. Everything behind the light disappears. He cannot tell if it's you, or you and your son, or a deputy. That genuinely buys you seconds, and I'm not going to pretend it doesn't. But that's the second reason it's on here. Here's the first. It is how you make sure the shape at the top of the stairs is not your grandson. I want you to sit with that one for a second, because the stories that end this conversation forever, the ones that end up on the local news with a family in the driveway, most of them are not people who failed to defend themselves. They're people who defended themselves against the wrong person. A daughter home early, a son-in-law who still had a key, a kid coming in from a night out through the back door because he didn't want to wake anybody. Those are identification failures, not defense failures. $15 puts 1,000 lumens on the shape before anybody does anything that can't be undone. If you take exactly one thing out of the first 5 minutes of this video, take that one. And it recharges off a USB cord, so it's not sitting in a drawer with 2 dead D cells in it, like the one you've got now. Number 11. Sabre Home Defense Pepper Gel, 1.69 ounces. $12.28, ships next day. And for a whole lot of you, this is the most realistic item on this entire list. 18-foot stream, 12 bursts. Glow-in-the-dark safety catch, which matters more than it sounds like it does, and a wall mount clip, so it lives beside the bed instead of at the bottom of a drawer under a phone book. But the word that matters is gel. Not spray. Gel. A spray atomizes. It hangs in the air. In a closed hallway with the HVAC running, that comes back on you, and now there are two people on the floor, and only one of them lives there. Gel does not atomize. It goes where you point it, and it stays on what it lands on. In an enclosed space, that is not a small difference. That's the difference between a tool and a mistake. 18 feet, $12, no permit anywhere in this country. For a 65-year-old defending a house against somebody younger and stronger, that is the most honest answer on this list. Now, some of you have been waiting 5 items for me to put a stun gun on here. Let me tell you why I didn't. Go look at the box on the best-selling one. 53 million volts. Go look at the next listing. 990 million. Go look at the third one. 1 billion. Same stun gun, 3 numbers. Nobody tests these. There is no lab. The number is decoration, and they know it's decoration, and they print it anyway. And even if it were real, that thing only works pressed against a body, which means he's already got hold of you. This works at 18 feet. 18 feet is the entire point. One note before we move on. Pepper gel is legal in all 50 states, no permit anywhere. But New York is in-person purchase only from a licensed dealer or pharmacy, and Hawaii, Massachusetts, and Alaska don't allow it shipped in. There are size caps in a handful of states. Buy it in the store and you're fine everywhere. All right. Those 5 are for the moment you're out of room. Now we step outside the walls, because everything from here on out happens before he ever touches your door. And this next pair is where I'm going to disagree out loud with about every other video on this subject. Number 10. The Umarex T4 ETS 68 Gen 2 .68 caliber. 131/62 bare, about 250 by the time you've got rubber balls and CO2 in it. CO2 powered 68 caliber pump action, fires hard rubber balls, blunt impact. And it racks, which, if we're being honest about human beings, is half of what it does. That sound means the same thing in every language ever spoken. Now here's the honest part, and I want to be careful with it because other people aren't. Walmart lists this as a paintball marker. That is what it is. I am not going to stand here and call it a home defense shotgun, because it isn't one, and anybody who tells you it is has never had to be right about anything. Call it what it actually is, and it's still good. It delivers blunt force at across-the-room distance. It does not put a hole through the wall into a bedroom, and nothing leaves your property. That last one is a feature, and it's a serious one, because you're responsible for every single thing that leaves the end of that barrel, whatever it is, forever. Check stock before you go. This one moves in and out at Walmart constantly. And the state note I promised you. This is one of the 2 air-powered items. New Jersey and Rhode Island treat every non-powder gun as a firearm. Illinois counts anything over .18 caliber. New York City requires a license. Connecticut, Delaware, and North Dakota classify them as dangerous weapons. If you're in one of those, this one's not for you. And 13 items on this list still are. Number 9. The Benjamin Prowler .22 Break Barrel Air Rifle. 136/82 in stock, ships next day. 22 caliber, break barrel, gas piston, scope included. And now the disagreement. There are videos out there right now, good production, confident men, putting 50 caliber big bore air rifles at number 1 on lists exactly like this one, and telling you it's a home defense weapon because the ATF doesn't classify it as a firearm. I want to tell you what that actually means in a house. A 4-foot rifle does not work in a hallway. You cannot get it around a corner, and you cannot get it up fast, and if somebody's already got hold of the end of it, it's his now. You get 3, maybe 4 shots, and 700 foot-pounds of energy, which is what those things make, does not stop in a bedroom wall. I have opened up more plaster and drywall than I care to remember, and I can tell you what's on the other side of it. Studs 16 inches apart, and a whole lot of nothing. Inside a house, that is the wrong tool, and anybody who tells you different has never patched a hole in a plaster wall. So here's what this is actually for, and why it's still on my list. It's a property gun. It's the coyote working the chicken run at dusk. It's the raccoon in the feed bin for the 3rd night running. It's the thing at the tree line you want to move along without waking the whole county up. That is a real problem on a real place, and $137 solves it quietly and legally. And here's a thing I found out that tickled me. Walmart's own marketplace rules ban air pistols entirely, and any air rifle with a pistol grip. You literally cannot buy an air handgun at Walmart. Somebody in an office in Arkansas drew a line, and that's where they drew it. Now, you notice what we've been doing? We're walking backwards. Every step down this list, we've been moving earlier. 15 was him in the room. 10 was him in the yard. And these next two are the ones I'd put my own money on, because they answer a different question entirely. Not what do I do when he's here? Do I know before he's here? And that question is worth more than everything in Ring 1 put together. Because the 4 seconds you get from an air horn are worth exactly nothing next to 2 minutes of knowing. Quick one before we keep going, and then I'll leave you alone about it. Count up how many of the first 7 you already own. Not bought for this, just own. A flashlight, an extinguisher, a can of wasp spray in the garage. Most of you are sitting on 3 or 4 of these right now and never once thought of them this way. Drop that number in the comments. I'm curious whether it's as high as I think it is. And look, the numbers say most people who clicked this were gone by minute 4. You're still here, 10 minutes into a man explaining door hardware, which tells me you're not browsing. So if that's you, subscribe. Once a week I take the thing everybody's selling you, and I put the $4 version next to it and tell you which one I'd actually put in my own house. That's the whole channel. Now, the last 8 are the ones that actually matter, and number 7 is the best $30 in this entire video. Number 8, Doberman Ultra Slim Door and Window Alarms, 4-pack. $30 for 4, 100 decibels each. Peel the backing, stick one on the door and one on the frame, done. No wiring, no hub, no subscription, no app, nobody's monthly bill. $7.50 a door. And this is the first item where I can point straight at the research, so let me give it to you, because it reframes this whole video. University of North Carolina at Charlotte interviewed 422 incarcerated burglars. Not guesses, the men who actually did it asked directly. 83% said they checked for an alarm before they tried the house. 60% said that if they found one, they went and found a different house. Half of them walked away on the spot. Now read that again, and notice what it does not say. It doesn't say they were afraid of the alarm. An alarm can't hurt anybody. They were afraid of being known about. That's it. That's the entire mechanism. Every man who does this for a living is running one calculation over and over. How long before somebody knows I'm here? And anything that shortens that number ends the job before it starts. $30 buys you the answer to the only question he's asking. Number 7, the wireless driveway alarm. $27.83 for the Ecomum with 656 feet of range, or $29.99 for the Fosmon Wavelink at 500 feet. This is the sleeper of the entire list, and if you take one paid item off this video, I want it to be this one. Motion sensor out at the head of your drive or on a fence post. Receiver on the kitchen counter, plugged into the wall. Something comes down the drive, the box on your counter chimes. That's all it does. And what it buys you is the only thing on this entire list that money genuinely cannot buy any other way. Time. 30 seconds. A minute. 2 minutes on a long drive. That is the difference between being woken up by a sound, already behind, already confused, already at the worst possible starting position a human being can be in, and being awake, on your feet, with a light in your hand and the phone already dialing, before there is anything to be woken up by. Everything in Ring 1 is what you do when you're behind. This is what keeps you from being behind. $30. Nobody ever told you about it because nobody makes any money telling you about it. And one thing I noticed shopping these, the hardware on this list, the lights and the extinguishers and the air rifles, that's Walmart's own inventory. But most of the security electronics, the driveway alarms, the strike plates, those are third-party sellers fulfilled by Walmart. Ships from their warehouse, different return terms. Read the seller name before you click. That's not a warning, it's just how it works now, and I'd rather you know. We're going earlier again. Ring 3 was, do you know he's coming? This ring is better than that. This ring is, does he pick your house at all? Because he is picking one. That's the part nobody tells you. He is not coming for you personally. You are not in a story, you're in a numbers game. He's walking or driving a street and choosing, and everything in this ring is about making that choice land on somebody else's front yard. Cold? Sure. But your job is your family, not the street. That 2 minutes of knowing, the whole layered idea behind it is drawn out in the book Ring by Ring. Arthur's home tips, same as before. Right. Number 6. Number 6, the Solar Motion Floodlight. $24.66 for the home zone at 1800 lumens. $39.94 for the Hypertough at 2000. Solar. And I want to be clear about why that matters, because it's not about the electric bill. It's about whether it ever actually gets installed. I have watched people carry home a wired fixture and let it sit in the box in the garage until the box got old. 4 screws and no wiring means it goes up on a Saturday. A light in a box is worth nothing. Back to the UNC study. Lights and visible surveillance sit right at the top of the target selection list alongside alarms and dogs. Not because a light stops anybody. Because a lit driveway is a driveway where somebody might be watching. And there's an unlit one 2 houses down. Now let me do you a favor and ruin a number for you. 2000 lumens on a solar light is measured off the raw LED in a lab at the instant of switch on, at a temperature your driveway will never be. It has almost nothing to do with what actually lands on your concrete in February on the 3rd cloudy day in a row. Same game as 53 million volts. So don't shop the lumen number. Shop the panel size and the battery, and put it where the sun actually hits it. That's the whole trick, and nobody selling these will tell you. Number 5, the Wise Smart Plug 2-pack. $30 for 2. $15 a plug, no hub, works off your Wi-Fi. And this one fixes the biggest hole in every home defense list ever made, including the first draft of mine. Here's the number that ought to change how you think about all of this. Last year in this country, there were 216,000 residential burglaries in the daytime, and 174,000 at night. The majority of break-ins in America happen while you are at work, in the daylight, in an empty house. Which means the pistol in the nightstand, and half of what's already on this list, is asleep in a house with nobody in it, for the most likely version of this whole thing. Wise's own listing advertises a vacation mode that randomizes the on and off cycles to simulate somebody being home, not a timer that clicks on at 7 every night, because a man watching a house for 3 days learns a timer in about 10 minutes. Randomized. A lamp in the front room at 6:40 on Tuesday and 7:15 on Wednesday. A radio in the kitchen while you're at your daughter's for the week. And my mother did this without a chip in it. She left the kitchen radio going and a pair of my father's work boots out on the porch every time we left the house for more than a day. She'd have thought $30 for a plug was highway robbery. She'd also have bought 2. Number 4, the Beware of Dog sign. $13. And it is the cheapest psychology on this entire list. In that same UNC study, dogs land right up there with alarms at the top of what makes a man walk past a house. And here's the beautiful part, the part that makes this thing work. The man standing at your fence at dusk cannot verify whether the dog exists. He can see a light. He can look for a camera. He can test a window. He cannot, standing on the sidewalk at 7 in the evening, determine the presence or absence of a dog. All he's got is a sign and an unwillingness to find out the hard way. And there is a house 2 doors down with no sign on it. Now, I'm not telling you to lie to anybody. I'm telling you a sign costs $13 and a dog costs $2,000, eats your couch, and has to go out at 4 in the morning in the rain for the next 12 years. I've got the dog and the sign. The sign works better. He's asleep. All right, last 3, and this is where the video stops being about weapons entirely. Everything up to here has been about him choosing, or you knowing, or you reacting. These last 3 are about something else, whether he can physically get into the building. And I've saved them for last because these are the 3 where 40 years of my working life actually mean something. And because number 1 is going to make some of you angry about how cheap it was. Number 3. Hyper Tough 11-inch cable ties, 100-pack. $8.88 for 100 zip ties from the hardware aisle. And this is the single best, nobody ever told me that, item in this entire video. If you have an attached garage, listen to this part twice. Your garage door has an emergency release, the red cord hanging down from the trolley on the ceiling. It exists so that in a power outage, you can pull it, disengage the opener, and lift the door by hand. Good feature. Necessary feature. Here's the problem with it. On a whole lot of doors, there's a gap at the top corner, and a man with a coat hanger or a piece of hooked wire can go through that gap, catch that cord, and pull it. 10, 20 seconds. Now the opener's disengaged, and the door rolls straight up by hand. And then he is inside your garage with the door shut behind him, standing in front of the interior door to your house, which on 90% of American homes is a hollow core door with a knob lock on it. And nobody on your street can see a thing he does next. One zip tie through the hole in that release lever ends it. That's it. He can pull on that cord all night, and the trolley will not disengage. And before somebody writes me, yes, it still works from the inside in a real emergency, because a zip tie snaps under a hard pull from a man standing right there with leverage. It defeats a wire through a gap. It doesn't defeat you. $8.88 for 100 of them, and you need one. Go do it tonight. It takes 90 seconds and a stepladder. Any locksmith will tell you the same thing. Number 2. The Security Man Adjustable Sliding Door Security Bar, $30. It's a steel bar that adjusts to length and lies in the track of your sliding door. The back door is 22% of break-ins, and if yours is a patio slider, it is the softest thing on your entire house. Not close. 2 reasons. First, look at what actually holds it shut. A little hook that swings up into a slot in an aluminum frame. That's the lock. That's the whole lock. It's a stamped piece of pot metal in a soft frame, and it is not meant to resist a man. It's meant to keep the door from sliding open when the wind blows. Second, and this is the one people don't know, on a lot of older sliders, you can get your fingers under the panel and lift the entire door up out of its track. The lock never engages with anything. It's still locked. It's just not in the door frame anymore because it's leaning against your patio furniture. A bar in the track ends both of those at once. It can't slide because there's a steel bar in the way. And on the ones with the proper top piece, it can't lift either. $30. And if you've got an elderly parent in a condo with a slider onto a ground floor patio, buy them one this week and go install it yourself, because they will not. And here we are. Number 1. The Door Armor Max Complete Reinforcement Set. I know some of you have been waiting 20 minutes for me to finally get to the big gun. There isn't one. Number 1 on this list is a piece of steel and 3 screws, and I'm going to explain why it beats everything else in this video and everything in your safe. Your deadbolt is fine. I want to say that clearly because people get this backwards constantly. The deadbolt is not the problem. Deadbolts are good. They're over-engineered. Nobody is picking your lock. That's television. The problem is what the deadbolt goes into. It goes into a strike plate. The strike plate is screwed to your door jamb, and your door jamb is 3/4-inch pine, soft wood, finish material, the same stuff as your baseboards. And the screws that came in the box, the ones the builder used, are 3/4 of an inch long. 3/4 of an inch into 3/4 of an inch of pine. So they don't reach the stud. They don't reach the framing. They don't reach anything structural at all. They stop in trim. That is the entire security of the average American front door. 2 short screws in soft pine. And the front door is 34% of break-ins. The single most common way a man gets into a house in this country. Not a window, not the garage. The door you use every day. I have replaced more kicked-in door jambs than I could count. And in 40 years, I have never once, not one time, replaced a broken deadbolt. The lock never fails. The wood Door Armor Max is $65.48, And it does the whole thing properly. The jamb, the frame, the strike plate, and the hinges. Because the hinge side is screwed into the same soft pine, and half the doors I've replaced came off from the hinge side while the deadbolt was still locked in the wall. But if you do exactly one thing off this entire video, one, and you close the tab and forget the rest, do this one. Prime line 11-inch security strike plate, $17.09. 11 inches of steel instead of 2, and 3-inch screws that go through the jamb, through the gap, and bite into the actual stud framing your house is built out of. 20 minutes with a drill and a screwdriver. You do not need to be handy. You do not need to be strong. If you can hang a picture, you can do this. And here's the close, and I mean it as plainly as I can say it. The gun you were thinking about buying costs $600, and it does not start working until he is already standing inside your house. This costs $17, and it means he never gets in. Let's run it back and listen to what it sounds like backwards. Number 1, the strike plate, $17, and he doesn't get through the front door. Number 2, the bar in the slider. Number 3, 1 zip tie through the garage release. That's the building itself. Number 4, the dog sign, so he never chooses your house. Number 5, the smart plug for the 2 out of 3 break-ins that happen while you're at work. Number 6, the floodlight that actually goes up. Number 7, the driveway alarm, 2 minutes of knowing. Number 8, 4 door alarms, and 83% of them check before they try. 9 and 10, the Prowler and the T4E, outside where they belong. And the first 5, for the moment you're out of room, pepper gel, 1,000 lumens, an extinguisher, $4 wasp spray, and a $12 air horn you can use without ever laying eyes on them. All 15, about $560. Drop the 2 air-powered ones, and the other 13 come to $294. Either way, it's less than half of one decent handgun. Before you go, 4 things. Rule 1, buy for the distance, not for the drama. Arm's reach, across the room, out at the road. One tool does not answer all 3. Rule 2, the earliest thing you buy is the most valuable thing you buy. A gun is the last 10 seconds. Number 1 is the 20 minutes before it. Win the 20 minutes, and the last 10 seconds never happen. Rule 3, check your state and your city before you check out, especially on the 2 air-powered items. It takes 4 minutes. Rule 4, and it's the one people skip. Anything you can't find in the dark, you don't own. The flashlight in a drawer under a phone book is not a flashlight. Put them where your hand goes without thinking. Bedside, top of the stairs, inside the back door. Then tell everybody who lives there where they are, because the plan isn't the list. The plan is a house where 4 people know where the light is. One last thing, and then I'll let you go. Every one of the 15 things on that list, somebody had to tell me about. The zip tie through the release lever. A locksmith showed me that on a job in 1991, and I have never forgotten it. The wasp spray by the back door I got from a woman in her 80s who'd had it there since her husband died. Nobody wrote any of that down. It just got handed along, and then it mostly stopped getting handed along. So tell me down below what was in your parents' house. The chair wedged under the back door handle. The dog that was never a guard dog but barked at everything. The bar of soap on the windowsill, or whatever the one in your family was. Whichever one comes up most in the comments is the one I build the next video around. That's not a line. That's genuinely how I pick them. And tell me which of the 15 you're actually going to buy this week. Not the list, the one. Because the man who buys one $17 strike plate on Saturday is safer than the man who bookmarks all 15 and buys none of them. I want to see the number 17 down there a whole lot. Look after each other, and go put a longer screw in that door. Be sure to stick around and check out our other videos. And for the best home tips, head over to arthurhometips.com. Take care and see you in the next one.